This is a WWN Publishing Group recording. Copyright 2017, all rights reserved. This is an abridged version of Night Takes Pawn, Book 1 of the Red Knight series by Martha Sweeney, to make the story appropriate for all listeners on YouTube. Read to you by the author. If you want to read the complete story, you can find the ebook or paperback online. Links are provided below in the description. Chapter 2, Natalie. The man who I think is Jagger never told me his idea. Part of me wants to know and the other part doesn't. He left without another word and only a wicked smile transfixed on his face. I'm not quite sure how many days have gone by since I've been in my room now. The days and nights seem to blur into one. They haven't sent in another client since I killed, leaving me alone except for when food is delivered. No one talks to me, and they barely even look at me. There isn't much to do in my room. Other than the bed, 2 nightstands that are empty except for a lamp on each one, a chase at the foot of the bed, an empty closet without a door, and just the basic pieces of a bathroom. My accommodations are more like a prison cell than a DAC room. If I'm counting correctly, 5 days have gone by since the night I killed that man, and nothing happens other than a little extra food during my meals. A client isn't sent to be serviced, Jagger doesn't make a visit, and no one else comes into my room. The following day, the guards come in not long after I've finished breakfast. One of them takes the tray with the plate and cup. "Get up," barks Breaker. I don't move. "I said, get up," he repeats, snatching my upper arm and yanking me to a standing position. I reach for his gun, hoping to arm myself, but he catches me by the wrist. "Don't even dacking think about it, bitch," Breaker sneers. "Don't leave a mark," the other directs. "Dack off," Breaker spits, twisting his head slightly. He looks back to me. "Jagger wants you. Now. Move." He shoves me toward the door. My feet shuffle forward from the force of his shove, and I stop in the middle of the doorway. Suddenly, a bag is draped over my head. I try to pull away as my arms are bound in front of me, and I'm hurled up over a shoulder. My arms and legs flail, desperate to get away. "Quit squirmin'," a voice directs. I don't listen. "Either you stay calm, or else we're gonna knock you the dack out," he adds. "It's up to you." I force myself to settle, hoping that I'm not misjudging the tone in his voice. My body bounces with each step he takes, and his shoulder presses harder into my stomach. I feel us go up steps, and it sounds like we take several different hallways until a door is kicked open. Metal doors creak, and I'm tossed harshly into something. I fight the tears that want to pour down my face as my body shakes with fear. At least one of them gets behind me from the sounds of the footsteps echoing off the walls. The doors are shut, and a thud on the metal scares me. "Let's go," a voice calls. My body tips to the left as the vehicle begins to move. I sit against what I think is an interior wall, curling my legs into my chest. Nothing is said by anyone else in the vehicle. I'm cold and shivering from the minimal clothing I have on and the chill from the air seeping in. A little time passes, and they either don't bother to put the heat on, can't, or did, and it's not going to reach the back part anytime soon. My body jerks when I suddenly feel something brushing over my skin. "Relax," the voice says that is across from me. "It's just my jacket. It'll keep you warm." I nod my thanks through the bag over my head, but I'm not sure if he can see my response. My body warms slightly from the new layer, but the cold metal tingles my exposed skin. At some point, the vehicle comes to a stop. The doors open, and the guard who was sitting with me scoops me up, cradling me this time. He gently lowers me, and my bare feet come in contact with some kind of stone or concrete that is cold to the touch. "If you promise to be good, I'll let you walk," he informs. I nod furiously, wanting to have a little bit of control. My eyes dart around, trying to make out some bit of light through the cloth that continues to reside over my head. There isn't a single hole to allow light to come through. A hand takes a hold of the rope that's wrapped around my wrists and tugs me forward. I follow quickly and fumble when he leads me through a few steps. After a variety of turns, my feet eventually hit something smooth, marble-like, quickly followed by fabric that feels to be carpet, and the sound of doors closing echo behind me. "What is this?" a voice that sounds like Jagger questions. "Is this how we treat our guests?" "She's not a guest," Breaker challenges. "Is this your house?" Jagger asks angrily, with his voice getting closer. "No, sir," Breaker replies. "I didn't think so," Jagger says. "Make my guest more comfortable, now." My body jolts at his last word, and then the bag is suddenly removed from my head. My eyes blink rapidly as they try to adjust to the lights in the room. The nicer guard takes my arm and cuts the rope free. My hands dart to my wrists, wanting to rub away the chafing feeling. "Ah, my dear, how are you today?" Jagger asks. My eyes find his. "Did the boys treat you well?" he searches. I shrug my shoulders. Jagger looks behind me. "Leave," he says, waving his hand dismissively. "She's sneaky, sir," Breaker challenges. I smile slightly at his statement. Anytime he or any of the other guards came into my room, I tried to attack or escape, using whatever was necessary. They knew I was a fighter, but they didn't know to what level until I killed that fat Dak. "Do you doubt my intelligence or ability?" Jagger asks snidely. No one replies. "Do you honestly think that I'm stupid, Breaker?" Jagger challenges with an eerie look in his eye, a look that I would not want to Dak with. "No, sir," Breaker replies with a hint of nervousness in his voice. "Then leave us," Jagger directs sternly. My eyes stay on Jagger as distancing footsteps are heard behind me. "Come in. Sit," Jagger bids. I take slow, cautious steps and sit down on a leather sofa that is perpendicular to a fire and opposite from the similar couch Jagger is now standing in front of. The heat from the flames is inviting and soothing. "Did they treat you well after our little chat?" Jagger inquires, sitting down. My brow lifts in question. "They were to feed you better," Jagger informs. My head bobs slightly. "Well, I'll make sure they apologize," Jagger states. I shrug my shoulders, not expecting them to really apologize or caring about it. "Well," Jagger begins, "I want you to know that you'll have better living arrangements from here on out. I only expect cooperation and respect. Does that sound agreeable to you?" My gaze shifts to the floor momentarily, as if to indicate that I need to think about it before returning to his face. I nod hesitantly, nervous as to what Jagger wants me to do in exchange for my better arrangements. "Good," Jagger cheers. He waves his hand, and I'm not sure what he means by it. I jerk to the left when a man dressed like a waiter comes close to me, whom I notice is holding a tray with glass filled with liquid. "Drink," Jagger instructs. "It'll warm you up." I glance back and forth between Jagger and the glass before I reluctantly take the drink. "I'm not going to poison you, girl," he laughs. "I've got too much planned for you." I offer a timid smile and take my first sip. The smooth amber liquid burns the back of my throat a little as it goes down. I take a second sip, which allows me to enjoy the flavor more. "I had to make certain and necessary arrangements for us to do this," Jagger shares. "You're the perfect fit and something my less favorable clients would expect from a paid service." I cock an eyebrow. "Are you ready to hear my plan?" Jagger asks. This is the end of this chapter. Thank you for listening. I hope you're enjoying the story so far. To read the full, unabridged version, you can find a link in the description below. To find out about new releases before the general public, be sure to subscribe to my newsletter. Also, to be notified when the next chapter is published, make sure you subscribe to my channel.